Chiefswood Park to the Ohsweken Speedway. And unfortunately, misinformation was given. And I just want to clarify that, yes, we did move to the Speedway, and that is where the powwow will be happening this year and in the future. And I just want to make sure that everyone knows that the powwow did not get kicked out of the park, as was reported to council and also in one of the newspapers. I don't know if it was in both of them or not, but we did not get kicked out. The park is basically too small for the size of our event now. And then with all the changes and upgrades over there, a lot of the space was taken away from us. So we had to make the tough decision to find another venue that would accommodate the huge crowds that we generate at the powwow. So, and Glenn Stiers and his Ohsweken Speedway stepped forward and offered their premises. And so that's what we accepted, and that's where we're going. First of all, we had to make the decision to even have the powwow this year. So once that was done, then we had to make that difficult decision to leave the park because there was just no space there. A lot of the area that we were accustomed to using was taken away from us. So it's just plain too small there now. And I also wanted to, I think council had a concern about the traffic control. Somebody mentioned that to me. And we are working with the police, with the Six Nations Police for traffic control if it's needed. I'm not sure it's going to be as congested as it has been in the past at the lights, because we're not right on that corner and everybody's not trying to get in all at once. And there's that four-way stop there at Chiefswood and Fifth Line. So I think that will make a difference. At least we hope it will. And also I want to give a little history of the powwow. Like I guess a lot of people don't know the history of how the powwow came about. So back in, sorry for my cough. In the mid 70s, I guess there was a group, mid 1970s, a long time ago. There was a group, there was a lot here from Six Nations that started going to powwows. So so one year we thought, well, we should host one here too, because we're going to all these other communities and going to their powwows. So we formed a committee in 1979. We started fundraising. And in 1980, we had our first powwow at Chiefswood Park. And at that time, I don't know if, I'm not sure who all will remember what condition the park was in at that time. So we as a committee and did a lot of work there, cleaning up out the weeds and that, like that area where the rough camping was down behind the Pauline Johnson homestead there. We cleaned that all out. We did a lot of physical labor there cleaning up the park. And a lot of people don't actually know all of the work that went into that. And at that time, in 1980, council was charging us $150 to utilize the whole park. And I'm not sure how many years we did it at that price, but it did go up a little, but not a whole lot. But the powwow committee approached council at that time. I can't remember what year it was. And we offered to pay council $1,500 for use of the park on the condition that council put in $1,500 as well, and that whole $3,000 be spent on improving the park. So that's how, like, the hydro that's down the bottom of the hill there was initially installed because we contributed to improvements at the park. because we all wanted it to be well utilized, and we needed the hydro down there, and we wanted the park to be used by everyone. And then it's just grown from there. The Powwow Committee is an all volunteer organization, 100% volunteers. There's not a whole lot left that were there in 1979, but we continue on. And one of the other things too we did was that pavilion that has just recently been replaced down right at the bottom of the hill there. We paid for and built that pavilion. The Powwow Committee did. And then we turned over the receipts to Parks and Rec because they had access to funding, matching funding. So we gave them the receipts, and they were able to get some additional funding for the park as well. And so this year, well, 2019 was our last one. We all know what happened there. Got hit with COVID and that, and everything shut down for a couple of years. So we're all happy to be back, and this year and on forward, we're going to be staying at the Ohsweken Speedway. They're very accommodating, and the space is much larger, and there are improvements back in there too. It's going to be back in the pit area. So, and it's all well lit back there. And we've got a lot of expenses. We have to rent a little bit more equipment than we normally have in the past. So that's what we're working on there. The powwows next weekend. So we only got a week and a half left to get prepared. And unfortunately, there's a race this year, but that couldn't be helped because it was so late having to decide on that move. So there is a race scheduled on Friday night. So we're going to be hustling Friday night and Saturday morning to get everything done. But we're pretty sure it's gonna go well. We know there's going to be glitches, and suggestions for improvement are always welcome. I don't know, did you have any other questions or like more information?
Okay, thanks Nyala and Charlene for joining us this evening. I know, again, you've probably been hearing all of the concerns, much of what council's been hearing. I think you've touched on one of those ones, which is the big one of traffic control. So it's nice to hear that there'll be plans in place. And obviously council's main priority is the health and safety of everybody, not just our members, but also visitors coming to the powwow. And the other piece I know that was also a concern is, as everyone always loved the shade down towards the river in the vendor spaces and so forth. Maybe you could touch a little bit on some of the, I guess, the site plan itself and how you'll be looking to accommodate some. I'm assuming you're looking at tent rentals and so forth of like that to look for more shade. Just wondering if maybe you could touch a little bit on those areas.
Well, the vendors, they always bring their own canopies, no matter where they go, no matter what powwow they go to. I'm just talking from a powwow perspective, not any other events. But even though they were in the shade at the park, they still all had canopies where they set up. So they know what it's like to travel to various powwows and set up in the sun. And we have bleachers that we're renting. We will have an area, as we always have in the past, we will have an area set aside for the seniors and handicap seating, and that area will be covered. And we want to stress it's for seniors and handicap.
Thanks.
We get a lot of other people sitting in there, so we gotta kind of get mean every now and again and kick them out. But we always take care of our seniors and handicap people in that way. We are trying to get some canopies just set out wherever throughout the grounds there, just to offer a little bit of shade somewhere. But you have to remember too that the dance area has always been in the sun. There's no shade over there, so it's the dancers all bring their own canopies. No matter which powwow you go to, dancers bring canopies and bring their own shade with them. Other than that, it should be run smoothly. We sure hope it does anyway.
Most definitely, and thanks, Charlene. I mean, I think at the end of the day, you know, we have to. There's pros and cons, I think, to everything. But like you say, you know, it can only grow from here, and like you know, suggestions and improvements, you know, can only help to make the event bigger and better. So, you know, I mean, I commend your committee for making the tough decision. I know this council has had to make many tough decisions over this past term and in past council. So, you know, we definitely know how it is to be able to make, you know, those types of decisions. At the end of the day, I think the majority of concern was, and I know you touched on it again, which is in relation to the traffic and safety and all those pieces. So I'm just going to open the floor at this point for any further questions or comments. I first seen Hazel had her hand raised, and then I'll shift over to Nathan. Hazel, you have the floor.
Yeah, I was wondering about the shade too. And I know that the dancers have mostly been in the sun, but what I'm concerned about is elder people who don't tolerate sun as much as young people. So I guess you'll have an area for elders, right? But that has some shade with it.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Okay.
That Hazel, Charlene did mention that there will be specific seating for seniors and elders that will be covered.
Okay. I keep going in and out, so I'm just missing what's being said.
Yeah, and we could totally understand. We're having some connectivity issues, so do apologize, Charlene, if Hazel was unable to hear that part. But just to confirm, yes, there is going to be seating for seniors and elders, as mentioned already. I'm going to shift over now to Nathan. Nathan, you have the floor.
Yeah, thanks, Chief, and thanks, Charlene. I just want to join the Chief in offering some words of encouragement leading into next week. You know, for me, I've attended powwows for years, and part of that whole powwow experience is the traffic. You know, parking way outside of the community and then having to walk into the powwow with folks and meeting new folks while you're doing that walk. And also just that point on the shade and all the powwows I've been to, I've always brought my own canopy, right, for my own family to sit under and provide our own shade. And I've seen that everywhere. So I think this move is only going to, like Chief said, getting bigger and better. If we've outgrown the park, which is enormous, now we're into another bigger venue. I'm really looking forward to seeing, you know, the people and the folks that come down, because the 3 powwows I've gone to post-COVID, all of them have doubled in terms of attendance that they're used to, because people want to see each other. This is the opportunity for us to see each other. So I just really want to offer those words of encouragement and you know, this is going to be a good event in the next 2 weeks. Yes, there might be some traffic backups, but you know, that's part of the powwow experience. Which First Nation community across Turtle Island have you gone to where there's a perfectly smooth run traffic, or everything's all perfectly run, right? It's all part of the powwow experience, and that's really what we have to get back to, is those grassroots. So just offering those words of encouragement and looking forward to seeing everybody in the next couple of weeks.
I know one of the things that we have look at too is with the powwow, the traffic isn't it's usually that noon hour traffic that's where people are trying to get in there when the gates open and just before grand entry. That's when it's going to back up the most. Other than that, it should be fine, because people come and go all day. It's not like when you go to a concert, you got to be there when it starts and everybody leaves at the same time at the end. It's not like that. it's people come and go all day long, right into the evening, into the night. So that's just something that's a little bit different with the powwow. Because I know even people compared it to the races and all the cars leaving there all at once, and the Chinese lantern fiasco everybody keeps talking about. It's a totally different atmosphere.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Nyawa and Nathan, for your comments as well and your responses, Charlene. I'm going to just call you Doach. I see it on your screen. I was hesitant at first to call you Doach. I'm like, I better stick to Charlene just for council purposes. One of the questions I did have though is in relation to will obviously people be having the opportunity to camp? I know obviously the races, have that opportunity at times when they bring in the bigger events. Is that going to be an option as well?
Yeah, we're going to have camping area available for the at least for the dancers and singers if they choose to camp. And I don't expect, I don't know, we don't know how many's gonna camp. Like there's never any set number. We just go with the flow.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Nyawa, so much, Charlene. So I just want to look to any further questions or comments in relation to any questions for the Powwow committee. Okay, I'm not seeing any further questions. Sorry, my video is going in and out. I'm not seeing any further questions or comments. And again, just want to join Nathan and others as well, Dolce, in encouraging the Powwow committee. I know, again, it's been tough time with the decisions that had to be made, but nonetheless, I'm sure everybody is just as excited to have the Powwow back this year. I know maybe one other advice or something that we can do as well is in relation to any of the residents all along that route of Chiefswood Road, just to kind of maybe give them a heads up. Obviously, they know this is coming, so they know they'll probably have some issues leaving their homes at some point in time during that weekend. So we'll do our best as well to work with the Powwow committee just to give notice to community. As well, to Nathan's point, it's about the experience. So to community members as well, please, if we can maintain as best as we can the safety of everybody while driving, motorists, watch your speed, etc. All of those things to keep our community safe. And again, we do appreciate you for coming here this evening and joining us on council and providing an update. And again, we do look forward to seeing everybody at this year's powwow. I know I can't wait for the food. I know that's always the big attraction for a lot of people as well, in addition to grand entry and the dancing and so forth. So I'm very excited myself as well, and wish you all and the whole committee all the best and looking forward to this year's event.
Okay, Nyawa. And on that note too, there's I think we have 33 food booths registered and roughly 100 vendors and information booths.
That is amazing. So those numbers alone speak volumes in terms of what type of attendance we're looking to see. So again, wishing you all the best, and let's have a safe and enjoyable powwow this year. Nyawa, Charlene.
Okay, Nyawa. Nyawa.
Have a great evening. Okay, the next item I have on the agenda is in relation to First Nations cable. So we have online our president, Jeff Thomas, who will be providing an update. And in fact, I have a little bit of an update as well. I know Jeff had reached out for some assistance on one matter, but with that, I'll maybe pass the floor over to yourself, Jeff, to provide a further update of the status of the project and where we are, and then we can get into any further questions or comments. Good evening, Jeff. Oh, sorry, Jeff. You are on mute. You'll just have to unmute yourself.
Any better?
Yes, there we go. Now we can hear you.
Okay. Just give you a quick update of what's going on, and our backbone's going along great. We're across the river. We're probably 90% complete. We had hoped that we'd be done by the end of this month and testing for August and then firing up for September 1st. Now, what happened is we got an issue with CN, as Mark is aware of. That's what he alluded to a little while ago. I got all kinds of people contacting CN in our regards for this project and trying to help push this date up. They gave us a tentative date of middle of September before we could cross the tracks. And that would really set our plans back a lot. So that's why I reached out to Mark. I reached out to a number of people, some of the politicians that were involved with us getting this grant, and Hydro One is also involved. Barry Fields from Swift is involved. There's a number of guys that are involved that are trying to lobby on our behalf to try and move this date up. Hopefully Mark has some good news for us on that. Once that's complete, we get across there, there's about 1 kilometer of fiber. It'd take probably 2 days to get that up and running. That's going to be the only delay right now. We're already, by the end of this month, we'll be ready to go, except for this one little piece. And it's from Mulligan Road at 54 to across the tracks. It's about 1 kilometer of cable. That's the issue right now. But the rest of it is all falling into place well. No problems once we got the permits and we got the locates, which was 2 of the big issues. It's just this one little hurdle left. So hopefully that'll be resolved very soon. As far as the actual community portion of this, our materials are scheduled to arrive the end of this month. I have 3 contractors that are going to start plowing in pipe. To stay within inside of our budget, because we have submitted this budget before all this COVID and all the issues came down. A lot of contingencies. They've kept us within a budget. So what's going to happen is these guys, the contractors, are just plowing pipe. Originally, I had them installing some fiber too, but we're just going to do that on our own. As long as the pipe's in the ground, we can continue to work through the winter and just keep firing, turning services on as quickly as we possibly can. We figure we can do the remaining part of the reserve over a 2-year period. To go on with a little bit of the price range, the packaging, just hang on, bear with me a second here. Yep. Our basic package, which is a very good package, is 75-10, which means 10 upload, 75 down for a $75 price. That's very good. It's better than what the other companies are offering. Everybody's offering 50-10. We went to a 75-10. That should support a house of like 6 people with phones, laptops, and being able to stream movies, that type of thing. So we're pleased to offer that. And we'll have packages right up to a gigabit to be able to, each household would be able to get up to a gigabit, which is pretty remarkable considering where we're coming from here. Right now, we got 1 gigabit running our whole system. So we're going to start with 20 gigabits, and we're going to reserve 10 for commercial and 10 for residential, with the thought of as the need should arise, we can increase, just call Hydro One and turn it up. We have our link's going to be a 100 gigabit link, which is phenomenal again. A lot of communities can't say they've got 100 gigabits in there. That's for darn sure. And I think this overall project is going to be very successful once we get it all done. Very excited about it. I think it's a good day for Six Nations. And that's kind of where we're at. So like I say, I have 3 contractors that are probably going to start the first week of August. And we're just going to start plowing pipe. And that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Okay, thank you, Nyawa, Jeff, for providing us with that update. And I know, again, just wanted to follow up on the CN. I know I did reach out to a contact there, which received the receipt of acknowledgement. Again, further follow-up happened yesterday. And so I'll look to, I didn't get a response further from that second follow-up. So I'll look to follow up again tomorrow morning and then reach back out to yourself. It was, again, they were, further looking into the issue itself, which is why they wanted to at least get the background and then get back to me on that issue. So and once I'll do that, I'll make sure to first thing reach out to you and see where that goes.
Mark, I sent you an email a while ago. I got in contact with a Daniel Salvatore. He is the manager of public affairs for Ontario. It should be in that email. And he asked that you could possibly give him a call. The phone number is there, and his email is there as well.
Okay, perfect. So I'll definitely I'll follow up on that piece as well, because that's just, it's relating to the specific issue of the application itself too, right?
Yes, he says he doesn't actually get involved in these type of things, but because of the magnitude of the project, he says he thinks he will get involved with this. So
okay,
but he would rather talk to you first. He said that.
Sure.
So if you can reach out to him, I think it would help.
Okay, most definitely. I'm going to look to any further questions or comments at this point from council for Jeff.
Chief, I have a couple.
Sure. Kerry, you have the floor.
Yeah, Jeff, once you come through with the piping and the fiber down the roads in the community, is it the homeowner's responsibility to go from that point to their house, or would it be
no,
something
what's going
else?
to happen is we are going to bury the fiber to the home. That's part of the subsidies that we've got. The only cost to the customer is going to be $75 for the electronics part of things.
Okay. So even the crossing of the road to get to a house that's on the other side of where your line is, you're going to be responsible for that also?
Yes, as part of the subsidies, yes.
Okay. And the other question is, would the signal weaken over distance? Like, would you have to boost it, like say going way down the River Road on boundary line?
It will weaken over distance, but we're also talking fiber, which is glass. The resistance is very low. Our system is designed for 20 kilometers. So that's quite a ways. That would pretty much cover the whole reserve. Mm-hmm. For each fiber that we're firing up, that will allow 32 customers to link to. They'll share a 1 gigabit port. Well, actually it's 2.3 on the downside and 1 gigabit on the upside. So that will be all, like that'll be shared amongst the 32 homes. Mm-hmm. 32 maximum per port. Let's put it that way. That's the simplest way. Some will be less, some, pardon me?
So what would happen if you had more than 32 homes on that?
We'll put another box in there.
Okay.
They'll just come off in different fiber. That's all that means.
Okay.
So the maximum that we'll put on any fiber, any single fiber that feeds back to our office is 32 homes.
Mm-hmm.
Some will be less. Some areas where there's not that many homes, there'll be less. But I'll tell you, that's a lot of bandwidth.
Mm-hmm.
And the equipment that we bought, like we're looking into the future, obviously. We are capable of putting 10 gigabits down each port at some point as the demand gets there. So if we have a business that wants a direct fiber, we can do that. That's not a problem. It's just a matter of upgrading a card at our end and then running a direct fiber to the business that wanted it. I don't know where this is going. Like I can remember when I was excited when there was 25 megabits coming in. Now we got 100 gigabits. I'm still in awe of the whole thing.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Carrie, for your questions, and Jeff for your responses. Is there any further questions or comments?
I do, Chief. Sherilyn.
Sure, go ahead, Sherilyn.
Sorry. Will the fiber go down 6th line, the west part of Chiefswood?
The fiber will be throughout the whole reserve.
So it'll go down that. So it'll go down that gravel road that way.
Yep. It'll go down 7th line. It's going to cover the whole reserve. That's our game plan.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks, Sherilyn. Further questions, comments? So I'll do a little bit of follow-up on my end, Jeff, just on those those two pieces. I'll follow up with Mr. Salvatore as well for tomorrow and reach out back to yourself, and then we'll go from there on that matter.
I appreciate that. Any help you can give us is great.
100%. Just want to go to any final questions or comments. Oh, I see Tammy has her hand raised.
I'm wondering whether or not you could expand just a little bit for the community, because we get calls here at the office and they're just wondering when is it coming down their road. And so can you expand on, do you have a place on your website or something, or that we could even share out with regard to what the time frame is on when you'll be going down certain areas and when they'll actually be able to hook up to fiber?
Man, you're asking a lot with that, because I get phone calls every day. Believe me, they're asking when you're coming down here. Do my road first. We do have a game plan, and we will release it on our website as time gets closer to starting. We will make announcements on the radio and the general papers here, and we will let everybody know when we're going to start and when we're actually going to start working on the individual homes in different areas. We're not going to go onto anybody's property unless they request. We'll have a form that we're going to send out if they want the service, and they'll have to request it before we go onto their property.
Okay, so to clarify then, you're going to pipe the whole reserve first and then do the home hook up to the homes.
Well, actually, no. What we're going to do areas that the contractors are burying the pipe. Our guys are going to come in behind them and put the fiber. We're going to blow the fiber into the conduits and start activating areas. And we got drop machines. We're going to go out and bury service wires from the customer's home back to our connecting point. We're going to try and do areas like that until freeze up. That way, once we get we're going to be running 2 crews. One will be firing up the fiber as we get done in the area, and the other group will be burying drops and blowing the fiber into the conduit. So it's going to be a big procedure.
Okay, thank you. That helps for clarification for when community call us. And do you have any idea on when that's going to be posted on your website?
Talk to Cord. He's the guy that's doing it. We got some press releases that we put together that we haven't released yet, but it will be very soon.
Okay, thank you.
And, excuse me, thanks Tammy for bringing that up. Maybe just also further, Jeff, if we need any further collaboration on getting out your information, maybe perhaps we could work with our communications department as well. To do any, to get out any necessary information to help, help a community in terms of informing.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'll help out a lot. Who's your contact there?
So we have she's on the line this evening, Katie Montour at our comms office, and we can definitely connect as well just to further assist in that area of communications.
Okay, that'd be great.
Okay, perfect. All right, well, what I'll ask for, and in fact, I'll do it for the previous presentation as well, is just a motion to accept Jeff's update in relation to the internet as information at this time. Is there a mover and seconder to that?
I'll move that.
Moved by Carrie, seconder.
I'll second.
Second by Nathan. And I'll look and ask to any final questions or comments prior to accepting. Okay, seeing or hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Seeing or hearing none, motion is carried. Okay, well now, Jeff, for joining us this evening, and we will be in contact, if not tomorrow, at some point this week.
Very good. Thank you, Mark.
Alrighty, have a great evening. Okay, Council, just before we go to our next item, I'm also going to ask for the same process of accepting the first presentation, the Powwow Committee, Charlene, as information. Is there a mover to that effect? Moved by Nathan, seconder.
I'll second, Sherry Lynn.
Second by Sherry Lynn. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing or hearing none, motion is carried. Just before we move into the adoption of the General Council minutes of June 28th, I'm going to shift over to our CEO, Darren Jameson, to introduce a new, not really new, but a person who's worked in the organization that is in a new role. And with that being said, I'll pass the floor over to yourself, Darren, to introduce Mr. Miller in his new role.
Thank you, Chief, and good evening, everyone. It's been a while coming. We're looking at building our capacity as an organization to do some long-term planning, and this role is a new role to support in support of my office. Along with, if you were on the call a couple of weeks ago, we introduced our Director of Nation Building, Trevor Bomberry. This role with Zach Miller is going to complement and work with me and looking at long-term planning, looking at building our nation. And it's really, really exciting times. So Zach comes from the health department. He applied, he was the quality lead for health and previously worked with the family health team as well. And Zach has a vast experience in data harvesting, analysis, and how do we use that really to power our decision-making that's really based on data and information. I think it's something that we've kind of lacked in the past, and really it's under our control, complete control. I just wanted to make sure I made that point as well. So that's one key piece of all of this. It's internal. It's for our use as a community to better determine, if we have new resources, say per se with the court case down the road, where do those dollars go? Where do we invest them? We have a lot of work going on with infrastructure planning as well. So all of these elements work together with our departments and their service delivery. So his title is the Director of Planning, Performance, and Evaluation. I think the title says it all. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just pause there. Obviously, many of you know Zach. He's from the community, and maybe I'll just let him give him a few minutes to introduce himself. And I know he's really excited about the role. So I want him to share his enthusiasm with everybody on the call. So welcome, Zach, and I'll pass it over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Tago, everyone. I'm really glad to be able to take on this role and support our organization and ultimately our community through this. We had a meeting with the directors earlier, just introducing the work that I'm going to be doing, and really trying to bring out the fact that we have a lot of data across the organization already. It's there, it just hasn't been used properly, and it's meant to be a tool to improve our organization. But also the flip side of it is to give a clearer picture to the community as well too of the work that we do. Coming from health services, it's a very complex web of services that we provide to community, but coming from an even larger perspective now with a larger overall organization, it's even more complex. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of community members that work within the organization and serve our community through the various services that we provide. So my hope through that is we can be able to provide a clear picture of what it is that we do as Six Nations of the Grand River, and the various departments that we have, but also showing the community what we can do better as well too, by evaluating our services, seeking to improve them, having better long-term strategy with our programs as well too in our departments, so that we sort of get out of this crisis state of always responding to things, and in turn rather planning for the future and trying to be proactive in what we do. And we've learned a lot through the pandemic. I know you all know I've taken leadership roles throughout our pandemic response over the years. And yeah, we've learned a lot through those experiences of ways of even our departments working alongside of each other, in different organizations, even the community outside of council, being able to work together. So yeah, just getting started. There's a lot of work to do, but my hope is that it will ultimately benefit the community. Yeah.
That's fantastic, and thank you, Nyawa, so much, Zach, for joining us this evening. And a huge congratulations to yourself, and wishing you all the best in your new role. I know just also, and I know Darren, you've touched a little bit, and as well Zach, on this in terms of capacity. You know, our goal and our job here is to, you know, we want to be able to, you know, align ourselves as well administratively as well with the political priorities. And I know we're going to be providing, you know, full almost like a report card to community on the political priorities in terms of, you know, what we need to do to shift and align ourselves with the administration to make sure that our programs and services are at the best of its services to all of our members. And so, Zach, you're going to play a key role in that. And again, I just want to wish you all the best and look forward to working along your side as well as we move forward. So congratulations. Do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, I just wanted to make that introduction as we move forward here through the agenda. Thank you, Darren, as well for the reminder. The next piece on our agenda is the adoption of the General Council minutes of June 28th. Nathan.
Chief, yeah, I'll move the minutes with just one minor change on the item number 7. Instead of, and especially going forward, instead of saying nothing to report under community safety, maybe we can just continue to say building the capacity within the organization to address the issue, and further updates to come. Just a little blurb like that, so it doesn't look like we're doing nothing. But I'll pass it on.
No, I agree, and thanks for that note, Nathan. In fact, there is some, I know there's one item that we're bringing back from last General Finance that I think is also going to help in the bigger picture of community safety as well in relation to our schools. So that's just one of the pieces that we're working on as well, but do agree with your comments. So it's been moved with that one minor change by Nathan. Is there a seconder?
I'll second
Sherilyn.
Oh. Okay, I'll go with who I first heard, which was Melba, second by Melba. Is there any further questions or comments in relation to the minutes? Okay, seeing or hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Seeing or hearing none, motion is carried. Number 6 on our agenda, which is recommendations from the Environment Task Force. So you'll see there's three recommendations. I'm not sure if I'll maybe look to Nathan to introduce these items, and we'll look to further questions and comments. Over to you, Nathan.
Just clarification, did this come from Human Services?
Yes, it did.
Okay. Maybe someone from there could speak to it.
Okay.
We're still waiting for a response to your letter. I know Tammy gave us an update to Rod and I think it was yesterday, that they're still working on identifying the next steps at their end on the class action side. So we're just waiting what those next steps are. And then I think we can entertain these. That's my understanding.
Okay, so maybe I'll just look to any member who's on from the Human Services Committee. I'll just read it really fast, and maybe they can further provide background, and maybe if we have to look to defer this item until Nathan's point of we see response. But just for community's sake, the recommendations from the environment, which is from the HSC, Human Services Committee, which is one that reads that the submission of as soon as possible via the CEO and Public Health Office, the May 30th, 2022 Public Health Ontario and June 3rd, 2022 Sarah Smith reports for the Six Nations Settlement Claims Office, accompanied by the signed affidavit by the chief, verifying the existence of these long-term drinking water advisories, and two, that in tandem compilation of supplemental community drinking water records by respective community departments, example, health services, environment, public works, housing, archives, etc., and the consequent submission of these records to the settlement office's claims office as necessary. And three, the establishment of a community support team to assist individual households with the application process pending approval from the settlement claims office to accept claims from Six Nations individuals. So that's what's on the agenda that reads. And we'll look to any further background or comments from members. Maybe I'll look to the chair, Sherry Lynn of the Human Services Committee.
Yeah, where's the background to it?
Yeah, so that's what we were talking about, Sherry Lynn. Actually, I'll look to Darren as well. Darren has his hand raised. I think it might be more beneficial to Nathan's point to hear the response from our letter that was sent.
I agree.
And then to bring these items back, but I'll pause and look to Darren.
No, I was just going to say that is absolutely the pathway, because there were members of our Human Services Committee department-wise collaborating on this initiative. I think that was part of the why it was brought forward, just to inform council and community about the next steps. But I agree 100% that we wait for a response to the letter and then we proceed. So it's the next step in the process.
Okay, perfect. I appreciate that. Thank you, Darren, and others as well. So we'll look to defer this item until we hear that response back, and then we'll bring these recommendations back and look to next steps. If that's okay with, is there any opposition from full council to that process? I'm just scrolling around and not seeing anything. So that's what we'll proceed with. Okay, so that does cover our general council agenda for July the 12th. I will, at this point in time, oh, my apologies, sorry. Scheduling first and foremost, the Iroquois Caucus is meeting July 28th and 29th in Akwesasne. There's a recommendation. I'm not sure if Councillors Melba and Hazel are available to travel to Akwesasne to attend the Iroquois Caucus meeting on July 28th and 29th. So maybe I'll just pause there first and look to Melba and Hazel.
Mark, we're already booked.
Okay, so this is just for the follow-up, just for resolution. So you're good on that part. We'll just look to get this resolution passed.
Oh, okay.
Is there any further questions or comments, Michelle?
No, sorry I'm late. I was going to move the resolution.
Okay, perfect. I appreciate that. So it's moved by Michelle, seconder.
I'll second it.
Second by Nathan. Again, this is to attend the Iroquois Caucus. Councillors Hazel, as well as Melba and myself to attend the Iroquois Caucus meeting on July 28th and 29th. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing or hearing none, motion is carried. This is a kind of in tandem trip as well with the Gaming Commission that was it was rescheduled. This is with the Gaming Commission as well as the rep and myself, since we're already in that area of Akwesasne, and this is to further authorize Council Sherry Lynn and myself to travel to Kahnawake on the 29th for a meeting with the Kahnawake Gaming Commission. Is there any questions, comments? Okay, seeing or hearing none, I will look to a mover and seconder for that motion. Moved by Nathan, second by Melba. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing or hearing none, motion is carried. I will look to waive second reading on the two previous motions. Moved by Michelle, second by Nathan. All in favor to waive second reading? Any opposed? Seeing or hearing none, motion is carried. We do have a number of upcoming meetings being scheduled this month. Tomorrow is the special council meeting on the Lake Erie Connector project.
Chief.
Oh, sorry, Kiri?
Yeah, there's political liaison, B&I tomorrow at 9.
Okay, thanks for that, Kiri.
Hopefully be done by 11.
Okay, appreciate that, thank you. So from those members and members as well for the B&I committee. General Finance also on July 18th. Political liaison on the 25th, and then another general council meeting on the 26th. We will also be looking to do our annual summer break there's basically no meetings during a 2-week period, which would be from the August 22nd to the September 2nd. Obviously, there's still much work happening. However, there will be no scheduled meetings during that time frame, just as an FYI. And as well to the community safety piece for Nathan's point on the minutes as well, if we can look to our recording secretaries to include that notion that was recorded in the last minutes to be carried on until we start to see some of the work actionized under this sector. As well, we are looking to the audited financial statement, which is a presentation by the auditors on July 27th. I'm just also getting signal from our CFO on that, on their scheduling as well. So there's a lot of things coming up for the remaining of July. And then we will look to our next meeting at the 26th to look to August's schedule of meetings and be able to provide community with updates at that time. I don't have, oh, sorry, I see Darren has his hand raised. Darren?
Just really quickly, Chief, on the item of community safety, as some of you are aware, most of you are aware, we have an emergency management planning committee. So I'm going to add that item onto that agenda for our next meeting so that we can get some action under that sector.
Okay, appreciate that. Thank you as well, Darren. I know there's also some other pieces that we can further discuss in relation to some funds that we are eligible for in working with the police and seeing this through. So perhaps that can also be added. Okay, that's all I have for the open session on July the 12th General Council. So I will at this point in time look to a motion to adjourn. Moved by Nathan, seconder.
Second.
Second by Michelle. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing or hearing none, motion is carried. Thank you everybody for joining us this evening at General Council. I know I do apologize. We had a little bit of technical difficulties in the beginning, but I'm sure a majority of community members watching were able to see the presentations and the business that was completed this evening. So thank you all. I hope you have a great rest of your evening and we will see you at our next meeting.